State election officials across the country are bracing for the final stretch of this divisive and unpredictable presidential campaign. Many in key battlegrounds are working overtime to prevent any dramatic disruptions that could compromise the vote. In tonight's Prime Focus, we take a closer look at what some officials say is their #1 concern: artificial intelligence. Our Devin Dwyer has that story from Phoenix.
Oh my God, we're all gonna die.
Welcome to elections, folks.
It's the quiet before the coming storm.
We're training all of our elections officials to make sure that they're familiar with some of the weapons that might be deployed against them.
No one can predict the future.
As state officials in Arizona gather to prepare for Election Day, an emerging threat is top of mind.
We already know of some campaigns that are using AI in Arizona.
For the first time, the officials who oversee voting in this battleground state are training on how to confront disruptions from artificial intelligence, or AI.
This is an AI going on right now. She's calling one of our staff members, telling us that we have to do something.
I have got multiple calls that you guys are not responding to your records requests.
Yeah, I think the more important thing under employee and staffing right now is cross-training to ensure continuity of operations.
These exercises, they walk us through those worst-case scenarios so that we can be critically thinking on our toes.
Adrian Fontes, Arizona's Democrat Secretary of State, says deepfake video and voice cloning technology pose unprecedented scenarios for November 5th.
The #1 concern we have on Election Day are some of the challenges that we have yet to face. There are some uncertainties, particularly with generative artificial intelligence and the ways that those might be used.
Experts say AI is already being used to try to disrupt how we vote.
What a bunch of malarkey. It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
An AI-generated robocall mimicking President Biden's voice was used to dissuade New Hampshire Democrats from voting in the January primary.
Your vote makes a difference in November, not this Tuesday.
The man behind the call was hit with a $6 million fine by the FCC and faces criminal charges. Taylor Swift said she endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris on Instagram last month, in part to refute this AI-generated deepfake, falsely showing her endorsing Donald Trump. And OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, says it shut down a secret Iranian effort using its tools to manipulate voter opinion, while the Justice Department says Russia is also using AI to feed political disinformation on social media.
The primary targets of interest are going to be in swing states, and they're going to be swing voters.
Lucas Hansen is tracking the use of AI in politics for Civ AI, a nonprofit he co-founded to educate the public about the dangers.
An even bigger one, potentially, is trying to manipulate voter turnout, which in some ways is easier than trying to get people to actually change their mind. What we can do here is generate some fake news. So I just pressed a button and...
Hansen used AI to generate a false report about me in a matter of seconds and showed us just how easy it could be for a campaign or a foreign adversary to use AI to try to suppress Election Day voting.
This tweet, which you could imagine going out on Election Day, says that there are potential shooters found near various polling locations and that election will reopen the next day, which is not a thing that happens, but for a lot of people that are perhaps less familiar with the voting process, that might be plausible. And so you could imagine this decreasing voter turnout pretty significantly.
The feds say while the risks aren't entirely new, AI is amplifying attacks on our election with greater speed and sophistication at a lower cost.
Those threats are being supercharged by advanced technologies, the most disruptive of which is artificial intelligence.
In a bulletin to state election officials, the Department of Homeland Security warns AI voice and video tools could be used to create fake election records, impersonate election staff to gain access to sensitive information, generate fake voter calls to overwhelm call centers, and more convincingly spread false information online.
What should people look for as they're consuming election information online?
So in images, at least for now, oftentimes, if you look at the hands, then there will be the wrong number of fingers. or there will be not enough appendages. For audio, a lot of times it still sounds relatively robotic.
Social media companies and U.S. intelligence agencies say they're prepared to alert voters about malicious AI deepfakes and misinformation, but they can't catch it all. More than 3 in 4 Americans believe it's likely AI will be used to affect the election outcome. And many voters worry they're not prepared to detect fake photos, video, and audio on their own.
In the long term, if you see something that seems implausible and it also makes you really, really mad, then there's a pretty good chance that that's not real. So part of it is you have to learn to listen to your gut.
Do we think that folks are going to get threatened? Yeah.
In states like Arizona, which could decide a razor-tight presidential race, the stakes are higher than ever.
Ultimately, the most important thing is letting voters know this is where you go to, where you actively go to get that official, accurate information. We want voters to go to their election officials.
As the men and women who make our elections run brace for another unpredictable year.
AI is it's the new kid on the block. What exactly is going to happen? We're not sure. What are we best preparing for? Everything. Except Godzilla, we're preparing for about everything. Because if Godzilla shows up, all bets are off.
Preparing for all case scenarios there are. Thanks to Devin Dwyer for that.